All right. I'm back again for another segment in the Counselor's Corner. This time, instead of the open court discussion, we're going to be doing cocktail conversations from my book, Cocktail Conversations by the Controversial Counselor. I know tonight I'm up against Ashanti and Keisha Cole um, versus thing, but it's all good. Um, I'm still, I planned this. Didn't look at their schedules, didn't talk to their publicists, but I just decided, hey, I found out, oh, they are on tonight, and something I probably would have checked out, but I had preferred before the show to watch the Lakers and the Bucks game. Oh, and I'm so rude. I'm your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka C2, aka the Controversial Counselor. So, with the Cocktail Conversations segment, if this is your first time joining, we take it back from my book, Cocktail Conversations, a book based on, I think it was about 77 scenarios dealing with relationships, friendships, family issues, work issues, health issues, issues in education, loyalty, mistrust, the dating game, um, child drama. So tonight's episode was Take It or Leave It. So I'm going to read this scenario and we're going to go from there. Usually Herb joins me, but sometimes people have things going on, so I can rock and roll by myself. Um, Scenario, take it or leave it. Lewis and Victoria had been married for 10 years. Lewis never mentioned he had a child 8 years prior when they were just messing around. Papers came in the mail for support in the paternity test. The results came back. He is the father, 99.99%. When questions in the past about the pictures of the little girl, Lewis lied and said it was his cousin's baby. Now he wants to spend time with the child and expects Victoria to be a stepmom and role model. Victoria refuses because of the numerous lies Lewis told about the now proven daughter, and the issue is constantly causing arguments between the two of them. Is Lewis wrong for expecting Victoria to warm up to the idea? Is Victoria wrong for refusing? The caveat to it all is that Lewis' daughter's mother is always trying to find a way to start trouble in his relationship. You know how that go. As they say, baby and mama drama, right? How do Lewis and Victoria overcome this hot and sticky situation? What's going on, Igor? Thanks for joining me tonight. John from America, what's good, buddy? I'll try to put the link in case anybody joined the panel. I know earlier when I tried, it said YouTube was rejecting it for whatever reason. So stay with me here as I try to uh, navigate this. Might not work. Okay, so it's in there in case you want to join the panel tonight. What's good? What's going on, Fred, the Master Barber? So we had that scenario. So I'm gonna take a look at the overall. It's like 5 steps that I used in this book, and again, it was the issue, the perspectives, knowledge, actions, and consequences. Um, so again, the issue, if you're just joining, Lewis and Victoria have been together for 10 years, and throughout their relationship, Lewis was hiding the fact that he had an 8-year-old daughter. Once Victoria found out, Lewis wanted Victoria to come to terms and accept his child. Sticky situation, the emotions. Guy lying. And this would be one of those scenarios because on Monday night, the ladies always say we pick scenarios that kind of situations that pick on women. I know different. I look at it as a 50-50 split. Like anybody can get it. So it's not just a situation where it's always the outcome looks like the woman was at fault. Clearly, in this situation, the guy has some secrets, and we know secrets keep you sick. So that was the issue. Perspectives. Many had responded that due to the years of lying, they don't think the relationship can turn for the positive, and Victoria should leave him. Hmm. So people think, I don't know if it's that easy to just pick up and go when you've been with someone, if you're married or you've been in a relationship for a while, just to pick up and leave. Because no matter what, if you leave and most people decide, oh, I'm going to up and leave town and go somewhere else and start a brand new life, it simply don't work that way. It doesn't work that way starting a brand new life. That shit still it's still gonna linger. It's still gonna be with you. It's like if you got sick and you had a physical ailment and you decide, oh, I'm gonna move out of town. That shit's still gonna be there. So it don't matter. You're gonna have to. And I'm not one to recite rhymes, but it was some verse that and I don't even know what song it was, but one of my favorite rappers, Jay-Z, he said, don't run from a problem, run to it. So a lot of people think, okay, if you run away from something, it's gonna make things better. No, that's just like putting a band-aid over something that it's gonna bleed right through the band-aid, or eventually the scar is gonna uh, open up again, and you're trying to use the Band-Aid approach. Hey, Marcia, how you doing? Thanks for joining me tonight in the Counselor's Corner as we discuss one of our cocktail conversations. So that was one of the perspectives that they said, leave him. If Victoria plans to stay, what options does she really have but take the situation and roll with the hand she was dealt? So if she's going to be there, she's going to have to deal with it. Of course, there are going to be some arguments. They're going to go back and forth. There's going to be some doubt. But what can you do if you plan to stay? Hey, Carolyn, thanks for joining. I'm doing fine today. Every day is every day when you're in the pandemic, whatever. You just try to get through it. But I'm good. How you doing? I hope your day went well. So that was one of the perspectives. Another perspective is that it boils down to the couple status. Are they married or not? If not, bye-bye. So I guess the person was saying if they're married, you stay. If they're cohabitating or in a long-term relationship and been dealing for a while, bye-bye. I still just don't think it's that easy. I still don't think it's as easy. That's I know people just be talking sometimes and they're saying it because they're not in that situation. I don't know how many people just shut the door that quick and then move on. Again, the link is posted if somebody want to come in and add to it, or feel free to type in the chat. Knowledge. What many don't know is that Victoria ended up staying with Lewis, but it's not a day that doesn't go by that she has not struggled with the decision of staying. So she's gonna struggle. It's gonna be a struggle. She's gonna have doubts. She's gonna wonder why you decide to keep the child from her, or wonder why. Why did you step out? Why what caused you to do that? So it's gonna be those questions that's gonna be in the air. Carolyn said, "My day has been great. Thanks for asking." No problem. Glad to hear your date was great. About to let my man John from America in the stream.
Hello, hello, hello. What's up, everyone?
What's going on, buddy? How you feeling?
I'm feeling all right. I didn't want to leave you hanging all by yourself today, so I just
Yeah, that's okay. I appreciate you coming to support, but
yeah.
I was gonna roll through grown man status. Sometimes
Uh,
you got to do things alone. Sometimes you got to be uncomfortable to get comfortable, as I always say.
true, true. Yeah, true. I didn't know what to how to respond. I was just listening to the scenario. I would have to say for myself, yeah, it does really depend if they're together or not, like married. Because
Hmm.
yeah, if they're married, uh, it's more of a committed relationship. But if they're not together and he's been keeping a secret for that long to a girl, you know what else, or to his lady, what else is he keeping secrets? You know, what else other secret is he keeping from her? That's what comes to my mind when I hear that.
And that's a valuable point because you say, okay, if he kept this, something as major as this, shit, he gonna lie about everything else. So why stay? So that doubt is always gonna be in the back of someone's mind. Someone said they don't, and I'm assuming they said they don't understand. My mom stayed. So people been in a situation, they understand. It's not like this is far fetched. It happens, and it just depends on how you handle it. Some people handle it well. They go on and they be with that person for 30, 40, 50 additional years. And sooner or later they patch things up and you know, in this case, Victoria end up accepting the child and they go on and they have a fruitful relationship. That's not always the case, but you
Yeah,
never
I don't think
know.
it's wrong. I don't think it's wrong to do that. I mean, if you feel whatever like comfortable and and you feel like you trust the person enough that whatever, then that's fine. But I wouldn't hold it against anybody if they, you know, a female if they did feel some kind of way about it. They're just like, oh, you know, f this guy or whatever.
And the thing is, John, with that, usually is when you start telling everyone and you get advice from people who haven't been in a situation like that and they tell you, oh, hell no, I'm going to, you need to leave him. He's trifling or whatever the case is. But
Yeah, true.
maybe in your heart, you really want to stay because you know he made a mistake, a major mistake, but you know that's the person for you. You may feel he's still the right person for you. Don't mind me. I'm trying to do a couple things, respond in the chat.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, so that was that. So actions. Some of the actions that could come out of this. If I were Victoria, and I'm responding as the controversial counselor when I wrote this book. If I were Victoria, my process would be, where do I go from here? I can leave and start over, but do I really know what I am going to get from the next man? The grass may not be greener on the other side of the fence. So sometimes people say, leave the situation and find you someone else that value you. And then you end up being in a worse situation. And sometimes the craziness, end up right back where that situation you left to begin with because you realize, like, okay, he made that mistake, but damn, this last situation I was in, the guy was abusive, or he barely worked, or shit, he just didn't do nothing. So, just something to think about. And finally, out of those 5 steps, the consequences. Victoria can have resentment toward the child and mistreat her when Lewis is not present. So you had those type of situations where the child is there. Maybe Lewis had to work, and then the child is left with Victoria, and she has resentment, and she does little things to, you know, hopefully it wouldn't be physical abuse, but it's like emotional stuff. By I'm trying to just think of certain things like there's certain things the child likes or expectations the child may have, but you may not do that because the father is gone, or you may yell, or you may child wants to watch TV, and you may make her sit there and watch what you want to watch, and just little things like that. Or in this day and age, they have the computers and devices, and you may now allow her to play that. Just little things that some people may do. Frederick said a mistake is not knowing, but what homie did was a decision. Yeah, he made a choice. He made a decision not to tell. Uh, and for whatever reason, he did that. We don't know, but I think sometimes when you said a mistake is not knowing, I think initially it may start off as a mistake, but I guess he could have rectified it from the beginning and told. But let's be honest, how many guys, if they step out, they come back home and not the next day, but 2 or even 3 weeks later, like, baby, I have to tell you something. So, how does this work out? How do you tell someone that? Please share. I want to know. So, let me finish this. So, she may have resentment toward the child. Reoccurring arguments between Victoria and Lewis due to a lack of trust, or all ends well and they work together to overcome this major conflict. So sometimes couples could overcome it. They can. They might have to go to counseling. They may decide that they may be involved in church, may talk with the pastor and different things. Whatever works. People have their means because people have been through things in life, and sometimes it it could end well. But I think with this day and age, because people have so much exposure, and a lot of times people just go to social media from the beginning without even taking the time to reflect on it themselves. And that's how situations get kind of blown up, or you get poor advice.
So like, wait, so one more time, the guy didn't tell his girl about a child he had for how long? How many years was it?
But he had been with her. He had been with the woman for 10 years, but he had an 8-year-old daughter. So earlier in the relationship, he had got some. So he had pretty much he kept it from her for years. 8 years is what it
So
sounds like.
so if your wife that happened with you and your wife, and she was like, "Hey, actually, I have a daughter by this other guy." I don't know how she, it had to be like crazy circumstance, but somehow you were like gone for 9 months or whatever, and then you find out that happened. You would be like, "Yeah, it's fine. It happens." 10 years
Uh,
later.
nah, I don't think it would play out like that. But I think somehow, some way, and this may be far fetched, but this is a legitimate scenario, and this was years ago. I don't remember all the details, but somehow the paperwork came to the house, and that's how the wife had found out. So he was going to ride it out, and trust me, there's people who ride it out for years, uh, and someone never finds out. To some tragic situation happen, and somebody needs a kidney or different things like that, and that's how stuff comes out. But then again, that could be in the movies or whatever. But yeah, that's how it played out. John from America. As crazy as that sounds.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. W-
Well, let me there was a couple scenario perspectives, and let me read because this is what this segment is about. I know on Monday nights it's like lit with going back and forth. But let me read a couple from here. Someone said Lewis should never lied on his kid. The balls of him to say it was his cousin's baby. Men who lie on their kids are wimps. Dump his tacky ass and move on to the next. So again, one of the people responded felt like dump him and move on to the next, and that's what I was saying earlier. Is it that simple? Is it that simple to just move on to the next? I don't think it's that simple, but that's some of the advice that people may tell you. Someone said, "What choice does she have if she wants to remain with Lewis?" So if she still wants to be with him, she pretty much don't have no choice but to accept the child. So someone else responded and said, "You just said what choice does she have if she wants to remain with Lewis?" I say if Lewis wants to keep Victoria in his life and he and wants to be a father to this child, he needs to stop all his lies. Start to have a relationship with his daughter and give Victoria and the child time to warm up to one another. So this person pretty much said, stop damn lying, come clean, and give her the chance to warm up to the child. Because eventually some people will warm up. They'll say it's not the child's fault. And, if it's a little adorable looking kid, now and again, like I said on Monday night, not all kids are cute. I don't care what y'all say. Not all kids are cute. And if it's an adorable kid, sometimes that just make you melt and you say, you know what, under these under this situation, I have a big heart for this kid and I just adore the kid. And I know it's a part of Lewis, so I'm just gonna try my hardest. And they may pray, they may receive counseling, and they may get help, but they work their way through it. Ronell said it's not that simple at all. Thank you. And people think it's just that simple, like you got a damn bag packed in your car, or you got boxes made and you just ready to you just out, and then you on to the next. Where did this next come from? Unless you had a backup plan to begin with. Anything? What's your take, John, from America?
I agree with what the commenter said. I mean, like I said, if they're not together, like an actual married couple, I can see it being a lot easier, at least for me, to be like, we gotta. I don't know who you are, I don't know who you are. For the past 10 years, you're keeping this from me. It would be too shocking for me to just get over it and just be like, oh, okay, it's nothing. I'd be like, okay, well, if that's nothing, then you living in another house is nothing to me either, because this is I don't know. It would definitely be a breach of my trust.
Yeah, and I think the reverse factor of it all is if a woman had a child and you've been with this woman, but you find out that the child is not yours. I don't, and I know we always say women are more emotional than men, but I think our emotions is kind of hidden. And if the situation was reversed, I don't know how many men could take it, because we're so visual. And you just, not saying women are not visual, but some way, somehow they had a fortitude or the adaptability that they adapt to certain situations, and they are able to have resolve and make things work. Whereas guys, I don't know, it may not work out that way. So I give women the utmost respect for the way they handle certain situations, and we as guys don't always fit the bill for that. Let me read Ronell's comment. She said, my folks was married over 25 years. It took my mom a minute to allow the child within our home, but we did have outings with our little brother. My siblings and I, eventually my mom came around. However, when we became adults, I asked my brother if his mom thought dad would leave my mom. He said his mom told him our father said he would never leave his wife. So he kind of put it out there, and Ronell's situation, and I guess the other woman kind of knew, like, he's not going anywhere, because he realized he had a good woman, and he said, hey, he made a mistake, but he said, I can't, I'm not about to jump ship on this. And hey, you got to respect that. She said, now my little brother and my mom having an awesome relationship, and even his children. See, and that's what it's all about. And that may be, and that's the respect that we have to give women. Contrary to what people think, that myself or her, like, we just don't give women no respect. But nah, I can't. The reason I have to give women respect, because I was raised by a predominantly woman family, with women in my family. It was my grandfather, but it was mainly women, my mother and her sisters, that kind of helped with me. So I'm always going to kind of lean toward that perspective. Darlene Sanders said, the trust is broken. Things can never be the same. Don't give me an ultimatum because you gonna lose. I have nothing against the child. And that's a great point right there, Darlene, when you say, because Lewis kind of said, take it or leave it. What choice do you have? Now that was brash and that was cocky. She got choices. Everybody got choices. But for whatever reason, I don't know why he felt like he held a trump card that she can't go anywhere. And sometimes in certain situations, it may be financial. The reason why a guy may feel like he hold that card, like, where you gonna go? You don't got no money. I make the most money, and you don't have anything. And if they control everything in a relationship, in that case, that's where you may get that attitude from. Ronell said, my parents have now been married almost 50 years, and that's tremendous. 50 years, a half a century, nothing but respect and love for that, because as I said on Monday's show, two of the hardest things is marriage and being a parent. There's no manual for that. There's no blueprint. Every day is a different day, and you just got to survive it. And no matter how well you may do as a parent, you might have been on the up and up and did everything the right way. That doesn't mean your child's going to do that with all the influences. And same thing with marriage, whatever. You may have you may grew up in a family that marriage was common. People, they stayed together, but that doesn't mean your situation's going to work out that way. So, it's a lot going on with these situations. Anything on your half, John? Because I got some talking points, John. So if you want to add on, feel free to add on. I can.
No, I'm listening right now. I literally was thinking. I was going off in my own head about some other stuff. I was thinking about how you're a teacher, right? I was looking at your videos. You're a teacher.
Counselor.
Oh, counselor. Okay, it's kind of real similar, teacher counselor, but yeah, it's not the same thing.
Well,
okay, yeah. No, I was just thinking about. I wanted to say I want to make this game that is for like, but I want to talk to some teachers about it because it's like a simulated thing where people play the game and they actually learn how to do stuff. But like I said, I'm going off of my own head. This is separate from the whole relationship conversation you're having right now. I'm sorry.
Well, you can always message me, whatever, and we could talk about it.
Okay, yeah, I'm listening though. I'm still listening to you. I'm just having a side conversation. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. No, I don't have nothing to add on to the relationship thing so far.
All right.
Oh, I would like to say, yeah, I know. If you really love somebody, you're more willing to forgive. So, and it just goes back to the whole trust thing. So, I can't really say until I'm in the actual situation because you don't really know until you're actually there. So that's it. That's all I got.
And that's true. And a lot of people give advice or feedback just based on what they think they would do, but it's different. Like I always say, when the lights is bright, it's a different situation. When the situation is shining on you, you don't know how you're going to handle it. Ronell said, "Amen. Marriage and parenting are difficult, and every kid is different." Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, not yes, sir. That's just a common thing. Yes, ma'am. I apologize for that. All right, and I'm about to just throw out some different talking points to this, because when you have these conversations and you have these subject matters, you do a little research on it, and things come up, and now people may not agree, and I would hope that you would have some different feedback. But they said there are 4 benefits to betrayal. Like when you feel like you've been betrayed by your partner, and these are the 4 talking points. You find out where you stand instead of wondering what the deal is. Sometimes people second guess themselves. They're like, "Yo, are we together? Or do you love me anymore? Or your actions speak." your action speaks different than your words. And then once you hit that moment that you got betrayed, you say to yourself, and then you find out, damn, is this where I stand? And that kind of shed light on your situation so it can help you determine what move you're going to make. Number two, betrayal gives you the blueprint on what not to look for in a partner and potential warning signs in future relationships. So once you've been through some tough times and when you move on, you kind of know, like, oh, here we go. These red flags is up. Your antennas are up, and you like, I've been in this movie before, and uh, you might be quick to say, I'm gonna cut this short. I'm gonna fall back on it because I know how this could play out. And you're able to walk away before years go by and you get jammed up. So there are some good things into betrayal. Not saying that I promote that, but again, because I was told that all my subjects are so negative, but I always say, where there's negativity, there's room for positivity. And that's the approach I take. Let me read Ronell comments. She said, and a lot of women give advice but don't share things they have accepted out of embarrassment. And some give advice and are alone, abused, or straight miserable, but present a perfect life and have the worst relationship of marriage. Exactly. And that's the thing. That's the thing. A lot of people do a lot of, excuse my language, a lot of fucking talking and don't want to never share anything. And those be the same ones who try to escape, move to another city, and floss like their life is perfect. Then you find out somehow stuff information leaks, and you find out shit they doing worse than they were before. So I never, for me, if someone quick to always try to give advice, I'm always kind of at a distance, guarded, like yo, first of all, I didn't actually. That's the difference if I ask somebody, call somebody up and say, so what do you think about this? Or I'm going through this. But when people are quick to volunteer and act like they got all the answers, be skeptical of those people. Be skeptical. And especially if they're not compassionate of you when you're going through something. See, that's the last thing I want to do is try to beat somebody down when they're going through something. As mean as people may think I am. But if I know somebody's hurting and they're really hurting and they mean something to me, I know how to tone it down and back up and try to help them work through it and try to, move forward. Because I feel that's what you're supposed to do. But thanks for your insight, Rod Nelly. All right, let me see. Number 3, after going through the hurt and pain, you can work towards being a better you to gain self-confidence. And that's what it's about. You're going to go through hurt and pain. You're going to be uncomfortable in situations. But sometimes that helps you become a better you. Whether, again, we talk about personal and professional development, whether you decide to focus on you. Some people start becoming more spiritual. Some people decide, man, right now I'm going to focus on myself. I've been at my job. It's time now that I jump back into school, take a class or something, or you develop a hobby or a craft or something, and you become a better person. But that doesn't mean necessarily jump right into another relationship because that could end up being a dead end street. So you work on you. And then you thank God and everybody, like, man, I'm glad I survived that because that person was not the person for me. So you move forward. I'm going to check in with you, John. You got anything you want to add?
Nope, just listening. Yep.
I appreciate that. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, very later at the end, I want to talk about an Amazon tribe of women that I think would be cool if they started up their own tribe, like a women start up their own Amazon tribe. But that'll be probably later on whenever you're done talking about. Okay.
I'm interested in hearing about that. The Amazon tribe. When you said Amazon, I'm thinking like you talking about Amazon, like the company.
No, like there's like legends of Amazon women who
Uh huh.
who just had there's just a tribe of You know, like Xena or not Xena, Wonder Woman. I think she was a part of the woman Amazon tribe of. It's just full of women, and I don't know. I think that would be cool if there's
Right.
legends. If they started it up, maybe where there is a place where just women can go for support. It would be like some kind of tribal thing. But
Okay.
that would be like I said later, because I feel like it has nothing to do with the conversation, the topic at hand with
Right.
deception. But I feel like it kind of does. But well, I'll get into it later.
Yeah, and sometimes you think you might not see the connection, but as you go deeper in the conversation, you're able to find the connection to it. And the fourth point to this is it can help you connect with others who feel your pain. So sometimes when you're going through something, you may have people that's really empathetic and able to step to the forefront and tell you, I went through that. I know how you're feeling. And they may share some experiences with you, and that kind of helps you get through it. So, whether that's a friend, whether that's uh, you're a parent or a grandparent, and when you listen to their story and they tell you things that they did to overcome it, and if you take those steps and try to move forward with it, it helps you out. So betrayal, obviously, it hurts. It hurts like hell, but it doesn't have to be the end all be all. Some people, it devastates them and they never rebound from it. Whether they end up losing jobs because they're so depressed they don't want to go to work, whether they turn to drugs and alcohol heavily. So it's people out there. Every person, and I know this prior knowledge because I worked at a rehab for a while, and most of the people that were in rehab had good jobs, had great jobs, and were doing their thing, but something triggered them or stopped them from functioning with their normal day-to-day life that they start using, and then it got out of control. So then then they were at the stage of trying to rebuild themselves to get back, but it was something that happened in their life that caused them to pick up and use. So we know that those people that we see, even those people, homeless people or people in front of stores and stuff like that, some of them people were good. I don't always try to disregard them. If I have change and stuff like that, sometimes I'll drop a few dollars here and there, but we don't want to discredit them because some of them they were on top of their games, but something happened in their life that caused them to make another shift. All right. So again, this segment of cocktail conversation is not that long, so I got a couple more talking points, but I don't want to keep y'all all night. I just wanted to drop these jewels and have some dialogue in the thread, and of course, it'll be a watch party, and my usual thing. Here's another thing: is there anything worse than cheating in a relationship? And what about? And there's 5 talking points for this. And again, feel free to respond in the thread. Number one, someone putting their career or other relationships ahead of your romantic relationships. Because you have people that they're just focused on their career and they may have other relationships going on. And it doesn't have to be intimate relationships, but somehow your partner feels like, okay, damn, can I get any part of you? Can I get any time with you? It's always about your job. And now it's about your buddies or this club you belong to, the good old boys club or whatever the case is, that damn, I'm lonely. I miss you. Can we do anything together? Can we have a life together? Something you have to think about. Number two, sharing intimate issues with someone else besides your partner. And, we talk about that often. You might talk about that work wife or that friend you grew up with of the opposite sex, and you're always sharing with them, but you never disclose any of that information with your partner. And they feel like, man, I know it's something bothering him or her, but they don't open up and share anything. But yet and still, this other person, when they're talking on the phone with them or going out meeting for lunch, they're so content. So obviously, you already know how that's going to make your partner feel. Three, making everyone else seem like they are better than your partner. That when you're throwing comparisons out there, it's okay to identify, but never try not to compare. When you're throwing out talking about what this person does and this person does, how the hell you think that's going to make feel? And that works both ways. Like for women, sometimes guys may not be that hands-on type of person, and but yet some guys that you grew up with or that from your job that kind of the jack of all trades, but your man can't do it, and you throw stuff out there and you kind of devalue him. Not a good feeling. Not a good feeling. And sometimes we do that often. Number four, disrespecting and belittling your partner. When you get to that point of disrespect and belittling, I mean, I don't know if there's any. That's not a good feeling at all, and it leads to chaos. And I know it happens often. People may not want to speak to it, but it comes out. Like I said, I always say you can sweep stuff under the rug, but eventually those particles gonna come up. Then the fifth point on that one is constantly breaking promises over and over, claiming you're going to spend time with your partner. Every partner wants time, quality time. And I think we talked about that on last Thursday, like nothing in common. But people, if feel you have something in common with that person, you're going to want some quality time with them. And I think in our lives now, especially as you evolve in your workplace, and you're going to have to, sometimes you have to schedule stuff in and say, all right, 2 or 3 times a week, we just don't have a date night on the weekend that we just focus on us. We go somewhere, whether it's, well, this pandemic kind of threw stuff off. But just think if we were in our regular life, which I doubt if it ever get back to that point again. Some of the things that you would do on a regular basis, and sometimes in relationships, both get caught up. You get caught up in your job and your day-to-day duties, and you don't take the time. And sometimes just those 2 or 3 outings a month can save a lot of friction. We hear what's going on, brother. Thanks for joining me tonight in the counselor's corner as we discuss cocktail conversations. So that's one of the things, like having those scheduled time and making the time to do that. And sometimes it's just the little things. It could be just 2 hours of laughter, fun, and that goes a long way. And I know people may feel like, well, I don't think we're off subject. I'm just, trying to think about proactive and reactive things that happen when you're presented with a scenario where you have been betrayed. You good? You good, John?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm here. I'm listening. I'm trying to think. I'm just trying to think or see where this is going. The conversation.
Well, the conversation, because we know that it happens sometimes. You're betrayed in relationships, and you're told by many to end it, but it doesn't always work out that way. So I know people kind of go through this, maybe not to extremes of the person having another child, but it may be certain things. They may stepped out, and there may have been some infidelity issues, and you're always told to leave the situation. But sometimes you still, no matter if you leave it or what, you still have to find a way to repair yourself.
Yeah. I think it's better. I think sometimes it's better to be alone than it is to be with somebody. Well, I don't know, like financially, maybe it's not financially wise, but maybe like spiritually, I think it's good, like to be by yourself if you want to get closer to God. It's harder to do that. The more people you're around, uh, the more you lose focus on uh God for some reason. I don't know why, but intimacy is a key to uh like spirituality, I guess. Uh, but but yeah, if you want to be with somebody, I guess it's fine. You know, you're gonna have to put up with a lot of stuff though, because it's your mistakes and then plus somebody else's.
Yeah, and like you said, sometimes people may feel like I'm just better off being alone. Or when they get to a certain age, they may feel like, all right, I might go on an occasional date. Or if it's someone who got married when they were younger and then it didn't work out, they may feel as they got older, listen, I'll date or whatever, but I'm never getting serious with someone again because of depending on the reason why they split up in the first place. So yeah, some people they that's the lifestyle they like to roll with. They rather be alone, and they may have a friend or something, and they just never take it to that level. And it's so many different variations of this, but I always think these conversations are important to have because I know somebody's sitting here, sitting, listening, or down the road when they watch it or during a watch party or click on a YouTube video, they'll say, "Damn, yeah, I was going through that. I understand what they're talking about." So I always think that these conversations are important to have. Now, the last thing, can trust be repaired? It was like five talking points, and I'm gonna go through that. Then we're gonna close this out, and feel free to keep chiming in the thread. But can trust be repaired? One of the hardest things. And I think what's her name, Darlene was saying once that trust was broken, it's kind of hard to restore that. And a lot of times trust is broken between us, and not only in intimate relationships with family, co-workers. That trust word, that's big. But here's some of the talking points. If you are the violator, make sure you show empathy and validate your partner's feelings by acknowledging the hurt, what you did wrong, and how you plan to make it right. See, in this situation with Lewis and Victoria, he held something over her for him to say, take it or leave it. And that's the wrong approach. If you devastated somebody's world and you kind of like build a bridge and get over it or man up or whatever, I don't like that approach. I don't like that approach. You got to have compassion, especially when you're in wrong. And a lot of times people don't have that compassion, and I just think in that situation when you're coming off like that, it's only a matter of time before everything blows up in your face again. So have compassion. Let that person know how you plan to make it right, and do it by your actions. So if you do that consistent, then maybe that'll kind of break down some of the barriers of the trust. Like it ain't gonna happen overnight, but you're gonna have to deal with it, especially if you're the violator. You're gonna have to hear it, and you got to be able to take it. Number two, trust can be repaired if you change your frame of mind and understand that hurt and betrayal is guaranteed to happen in some shape or form. So if you go into expectations like no and know that it's going to be some bumps in the road in this relationship, I just need to prepare myself. And I know people thinking like, oh no, usually the honeymoon stage, everything is good, and you don't think anything's bad going to come out. There's going to be a time that something's going to go down. I don't have to be infidelity or something, but it's going to be something that may come up. Hey, it could be something as you're in a relationship. You're in a relationship with someone, and I'm gonna say, for example, a guy, and his mother passes away, or something like that, or someone close to him. Then he shuts down, and things start changing. You have to adapt. You have to be prepared to adapt. That there's going to be some bad time. There's going to be some bad situations in relationships, and it also depends on who you talk to when you go through that. Like I said, sometimes people think, oh, because somebody's been your friend for 30 something years, 40 some years, that they give the best advice, but they don't have shit going on. And then you may have somebody you have a, not as close relationship as the person you've been friends with for 30 years, but y'all might have been friends for 5 years. And this may be on a professional basis. And they always give you sound advice. So know your personnel, who you talking to when you're going through something. Keep that in mind. Remind me, I'm just going through, I got these points on my phone. So when you remain guarded and withdrawn and stop taking risks, it takes away from living life. So we always have people that they go through situations and they become withdrawn and they're evasive. They don't want to be around anyone, but it takes away from your life. You're losing days. You're losing minutes with like that. And sometimes those days lead to months and it leads to years, and you lose a lot of value in life. Years go by, and those could be. And I'm not trying to tell anybody there should be a time frame to get over something, but just keep that in mind. Like tomorrow was never promised, and sooner or later you have to try to pick up the pieces to move forward. Number four, if you get in touch with who you are and who your partner really is, then you may begin working on trust on a different level. Again, I always talk about knowing your personnel. You got to get in tune with yourself. You got to find out who your partner is. You got to have these communicate. You got to have these talks. You got to listen. And when you kind of know who your partner is and things that make them tick, I think sometimes these situations could become easier to adapt to, and especially when it's a situation that went wrong. Now, I'm not going to even say it's to the extremes, the situation with Victoria and Lewis, because it happens. But that's probably one of the ones you like, oh, that's the worst thing for them to bring a child into our relationship, especially after infidelity happened. That sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow, but you can manage it and you can work through it. Finally, trusting the process that there will be times that you will hurt each other, but you are willing to take the necessary steps to keep your relationship going. So there's going to be hurt and pain. There's going to be arguments. There's going to be disagreements. There's going to be situations that you can't go through. You don't want to be the type that is always run. And again, it's about the people that when you need to vent, who to talk to, whose shoulder to cry on, who to lean on. This afternoon, I was, and I think Herb mentioned this too, that he had been listening to speeches. And this afternoon, I was on YouTube and I just happened to listen to like some old speeches. For example, like when, because it's the 26th is coming up on the 1 year anniversary of Kobe's death. So I listened to like the Jordan, his speech at the farewell service, and Shaq, and then I listened to like the Jim Valvano speech, and he said, laugh every day, think every day, and emotions move to tears. and sometimes you may cry every day. I think when you had those gamut of emotions throughout the day, that's a full day. And a lot of times we don't spend enough time laughing. That's why it's always important to be around people that make you have that laugh that laughter that makes your stomach hurt because you was laughing so good, so long, and think every day. Think about how you can make the next day better. Think. A lot of times, sometimes we live in a life that people are just robotic. They just go by and do the same thing over and over, but they don't take time to think like, okay, I know today was a messed up day. How could I make tomorrow better? Sometimes you just gotta cry. And it's not crying because you're sad, but you're just thinking about so many things and you say, man, I just gotta try a little harder, or you have different expectations that you want to accomplish, and it might be happy tears. So those are some of the talking points for this particular situation. Take it or leave it. So sometimes somebody try to force your hand and tell you take it or leave it. You always got choices, but you have to take the time to reflect on which choice is the best for you. So keep that in mind. So don't let. I'm always gonna be a component of listen, know your personnel, self awareness, and other people's situations, and be mindful of stuff that they tell you. A lot of times people tell you stuff, but they're not living it themselves or never been through shit. So eventually, for me, those are the people eventually I stray away from as I got older and like, man, they ain't talking about nothing. And I think that's one of the things my grandmother and grandfather used to always say, they ain't talking about nothing. And it's true, a lot of people ain't talking about nothing. And at this stage of the game, I need people to be talking about something, something fruitful, something that can resonate in me to help move me forward. John, you got anything you want to say?
Uh, let me see. Hold on. Where's the mic at? Okay. Yeah. Did you ever look up that guy I told you about? Moses West.
Moses West, when did you tell me about it? Did you send me something?
I think I told you about him the first time we ever talked. I sent you a link on the comments at the bottom of the thing. But his name is
I might
Moses
have
West.
missed it. I might have missed that, but I'm writing it down now for me to take a look at it. Moses West, like East West. You said West.
My internet's kind of messing up. Yeah. Well, he made uh water machines like where he gets a train cart and he converts it into some kind of uh c- condensation machine where it draws water out of the air and that's it. He gets like fresh water and with those train cart machines. And I don't know, I think it's a good idea for like self sustainability because you're talking about good ideas.
Okay.
And yeah, and I think one thing that we need to do more is be self sustainable. And I said it before, we could get like our light and our water directly pull it from the air. But we just get used to getting that from the city, but all that could be kind of free, and that's kind of it. Moses West, he's a good example of the water thing.
All right. Well, I'm gonna check it out. And you're right. Sometimes we have to find other means to sustain ourselves. And once you get engulfed in different projects or things like that, that kind of helps you out because sometimes when you're caught up in something, especially if it's new and you don't know anything about it, but you become passionate about it, you don't have time for all the riffraff. Certainly, those other issues that used to bother you every day don't bother you anymore because you're tied up, you're busy, you're learning about something new, and that kind of helps with your overall personal development. So I'm definitely gonna check that out and see what he has to say, and who knows, I might say, man, okay, like I want to get involved in this. Anything else you want to add to this? Because like I said, I'm gonna get ready to close it out.
That was it. I appreciate you for having me on. I'll see you Monday.
All right, I appreciate that. And for anyone else, thanks for joining this live stream on YouTube, Facebook. And tonight's scenario was take it or leave it. And just remember, we always have choices, but sometimes when we make decisions as far as our choices, make sure we're talking to the right people and take time to self-reflect on those choices before you make a decision that may not be in your best interest. So with that said, I'm out. See you guys on Monday night. If you have any talking points you want to add, feel free to inbox me, message me, and I'll see you soon. Everybody have a good weekend and stay safe and stay blessed. I'm out.